Hello everybody. In this video I want to take just a few minutes to cover some basic navigating around a Garmin 430 GPS. We're not going to cover navigating with the GPS, how to put in flight plans and things, but just how we kind of get around on the various screens, where the information is, how can I use the nearest function, zoom in, zoom out on the map. There's a lot of buttons and knobs on the GPS, and sometimes people struggle with exactly what they're supposed to be pushing in places. So we're just going to cover some really high level getting around on the GPS. This is very specific to a Garmin 430, so if you have a different GPS in your airplane, then this video isn't for you. But if you have a 430, let's dive in and take a look. So when our 430 boots up, we're presented with a page to confirm our database currency and dates. If we're happy with all that, it asks, is that okay? We'll hit enter. Next, we can confirm that the GPS can actually talk to the CDI it's hooked to. Make sure those move about half up and half left. There's other settings where you can set up various checklists, set fuel warnings. We're going to skip all that. So we'll hit enter to get past that. Allows us access to the comm and nav frequencies. There we go. Looks like it knows where we're at now. So the 430 organizes all of its information and screens into kind of like a book, chapters and pages. There's 4 main chapters indicated right here, and we can change those chapters with our big outer knob. And then you see the little squares right here with the white one on the second one. Those are pages within a chapter. We can change those with this small inner knob. So the very first chapter is nav. For example, if I turn counterclockwise, we don't go any further. So we got our nav chapter, our waypoint chapter, an auxiliary chapter, and a nearest chapter. Within each chapter, we have pages. Here we can see we're on page 1 of the nearest chapter, nearest airports. I can turn the small knob and go to page 2, nearest intersections, nearest non-directional beacons, if anybody uses those, nearest VORs, and we can see the page moving across. And then you can go counterclockwise to work back towards the beginning. In our nav chapter, which is probably where you'll spend most of your time, the very first page is just pretty much data. We got about 6 fields up here. We'll put a waypoint in a second so we can fill in some of those numbers. Our second page is the moving map, and we'll cover some more on that, how we can add and remove information from the map. That's probably where you'll spend most of your time, is really on these 2 screens. Further screens can show terrain. Everything's red because we're just sitting here right on the ground. Next, we can get some frequencies of our departure airport. We'll go into a little bit of that. Get your lat long. So you can kind of play around with the various pages in these chapters. Some information, waypoints about our airport, so on and so on. There is another chapter for flight plan, and you actually access that with this button. And here's where you can get in and set up a flight plan. I'm not going to cover that. You can read the manual on how to do that. So you actually can't change the chapter with that. For some reason, it's just a toggle button. So let's put a waypoint in here. We're sitting at Springfield, and let's say we're going to go over to Taterville. So we're going to go direct to. I got a cursor right there. Big knob moves the cursor. Small knob changes what's under the cursor. So I'm going to turn that small knob 1 click, and since most of our airports start with a K, it defaults it. If it doesn't, then you can change it to a number. Okay, we'll go back to that K. Big knob, 1 click to move the cursor. T. I do want an A. I'm actually going to go counterclockwise to wrap around here. And there's Taterville. Course of 141. Sounds about right. We'll hit enter. Do I want to activate that? Yes, please. There we go. Bearing of 141, distance of 24 miles. That sounds about right. We can go to our second page. And there's not a whole lot in this map here. So I'll tell you what, let's kind of cover our cluttering and decluttering of the map real quick. We've got our zoom in and out buttons showing your range, how much you can see of the GPS, or of the map rather. So I'm going to zoom in here. It's not really showing a whole lot. Oh, hey, there's my runways. But I don't really see a whole lot of information. There are 4 levels of cluttering or decluttering, how much stuff I want to see on the map. And we drive that with this clear button. I can just cycle through them. And that's what this little -3 side of things is. So I'm going to press that once. And now there's no minus number at all. So this is the most stuff on a map, the most cluttered. We've got airspace, we've got roads. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. After you zoom out far enough, it starts to take away some of the Class C airspace. But I can see the MOA that's out here. There's Jacksonville, a little bit of the MOA off on that direction. Zoom out some more. Right, all sorts of ground-based stuff. If you don't want the clutter of all the roads, you can press this clear button once. So now we got -1. We're getting rid of all the roads, labels, things like that. It still shows rivers, but it got rid of quite a bit of information. But I still have other airports, VORs. There's my little flight that I'm making to Taterville, things like that. If I press clear again, -2, we get rid of other airspace. We got rid of the MOA. Actually, if I zoom back in where that Class C was being displayed, notice it's not being displayed anymore. Okay, we'll zoom out a bit. But I can still see other stuff. There's the Bloomington VOR. What is that? Is that Peoria? Yep, Peoria, all sorts of stuff. And then if I go, get rid of that message. If I hit clear again, we go back to that -3 we started with. The only thing on the map is going to be whatever is in my flight plan, which is pretty much just direct from my current location to Taterville. It gets rid of everything else. Personally for me, I fly on that -1 level so I can see other aviation waypoints, MOAs, restricted areas, things like that. But I get rid of roads and labels that I just don't need. So there's some cluttering and decluttering of your screen on your GPS. So let's play around with the nearest chapter a bit, which is the very last chapter. Page 1 is nearest airports. If for some reason you do that and you're like, where's my airports at? You see you're not on the first page. So use your small knob, go counterclockwise and get back on page 1. And in a pinch, if you're flying along, let's go back to the map for a second, and you're having some engine roughness, or you just need to know where the heck's my closest airport, you can take this knob right here and just go clockwise. You'll always go to the very last chapter and see, well, oddly enough, Springfield's the closest airport because we're here. The next closest one is Taterville, bearing a 141 at 24 miles. Lincoln is the next closest one, 24.8 miles. And I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little scroll bar on the screen there. So I'm going to push for the cursor. There we go. And remember, big knob moves the cursor. So I'm going to turn that. Now I got Taterville highlighted. I'm going to keep going. I want to find Jacksonville. There it is. And I could keep scrolling and keep fanning out further and further away for airports. I'm going to go back to Jacksonville. With that highlighted, I'm not going to hit enter. If I did hit enter, it just tells me stuff about it. It takes me to the waypoint chapter. Am I done with that? Yeah, I'm done with that. If I really wanted to go direct to Jacksonville and save a lot of that knob spinning like I did for Taterville early on, I would just hit direct to. And that's as if I had done all that knob spinning. We'll hit enter. You want to activate that? Yes, please. And there's Jacksonville. Another nice feature that you can get from, you probably saw it on that nearest page, but now that we got Jacksonville in as our waypoint, we can go to the waypoint chapter. And let's go find a page that has frequencies. There we go. The AWAS is 120.52. I'm going to push for the cursor. Big knob moves the cursor. And now look what I have in my standby here. I've got 1213 in my standby, 131.42 in the active. I'm going to hit enter with that highlighted. It takes that frequency and throws it into the standby of your radio, so that whenever you're ready, you can flip it up and get your weather. All sorts of frequencies you can pick from. So just highlight whatever you want, hit enter, and it'll move it over into the standby. Well, now I want to go back and change my chapter, my page. How the heck do I do that? Well, I push to get rid of my cursor, and now my knobs will go back to navigating my book, my chapters, and my pages. If you're ever in something that you're just not sure, well, how the heck did I get to that page? I got my cursor, I'm over here, I just want to get the heck out of that. I can push and hold clear, and I'll always be taken back to chapter 1, page 1. It's a good way to get out of just about anything that you're in. Garmin does have a free simulator that you can download for the 430 right off of their website. It's pretty old. The database that you would play with once you install that on your computer is probably 15 years old at least, so waypoints will definitely be different than they currently are now. But it's a very handy tool to download it and kind of play around with the various buttons and how to get around on the GPS. So, hope you enjoyed the video. If you've got any questions, comments, or smart remarks, let me know, and we'll see you later.